Yo guys, it's that time again. It's the new league coming around and I've got this video to give all the Leaguestart trees that I'm going to be sharing. This is Atlas trees, of course. Now you'll have to forgive me for the shades. I know it might seem weird, but I have to wear these. Obviously too much screen time has damaged my eyes. So be careful out there. I now have to wear these to protect my eyes from the light. So that's why I'm wearing these before a million comments come in. But let's start. Obviously, as always, I will have a sheet that I'll share with you guys. The sheet will contain all the strategies that I run this league, all the tests. There will be 7 days, 7 farms, so all the results from that, things that you can take and iterate on or see if you'd like to do it. All of it's going to be here. If you want this, it's in the description. You don't need to watch the rest of the video if all you want is a sheet, but I will talk about some of the things that I'm going to do. So we'll start first of all with how I plan to progress the Atlas. This is kind of the base tree upon which I imagine I will build most things on Leaguestart. We'll go over some key things. We'll actually do a new one. We'll rebuild this in the order that I would do it. So we'll rebuild this in the order that I would do it. I would definitely come through Nico first and head on up to Kirak. I'm sure you've all seen tons of these so already. They're all pretty similar, so I'm going to kind of race through. We want to rush to Unwavering Vision, as this does grant us 20 Atlas passives as soon as we click it, meaning we'll go from essentially having 27 completions to the equivalent points of 47, which is a nice bump early on, as that's going to help us sort out our map sustain. We're going to do that by, of course, taking the adjacent map, small passives right here. We can maybe take some small ones as well. Even the Kirak chance is nice. Honestly, I'm not too sold on the scouting reports. I think your limiting factor is going to be the number of missions you have, not necessarily what they offer. Also, I think that in red maps, you kind of only want Val scouting reports to get the completion. So I'm not a big fan of the scouting reports. If you are, by all means, click these notables. But for me, I think this will be more than sufficient. And then we can come in and grab the map nodes. We've obviously got these two small nodes here and Packed with Energy. Packed with Energy is one where you don't have to take this. You could just path through the middle and not take frantic mining, but we do get 48% chance and then 8% for the base chance to see Nico. So 56% of our maps will be able to benefit from these buffs every time we click a sulfite vein, which is going to be very nice as your character's going to suck early on. I don't care what build you're playing. When you're rushing through the Atlas progression, your character's going to suck a little bit. So everyone's going to benefit from those buffs, even if it's just a move speed. So yeah, again, this is the kind of foundation upon which we're going to build all of our trees. Now, if you want to, at this point, you can diverge. I personally will probably go straight into doing Expedition. I'll do that by coming down and grabbing the Expedition chance, the notables here, and then come in and grab the remaining chance here. This gives us 100% chance for Expedition, which is of course very nice. We're not quite up at the top yet, and honestly, it might not be that important early on, as you know, all three of these are good. It's only really Gwenin that sucks early, but with the changes to uniques, maybe that applies to Gwenin as well, meaning more Headhunters and Mageblood from Gwenin 2 remains to be seen. So you don't have to do this, of course. I will provide alternatives. There is the option to go straight for June. If you're someone that wants to, you know, get your crafts ready, you don't want to rely on other people to do that for you. You could come in and click all the June nodes, and then you're going to be farming Veiled Orbs and Scarabs. Obviously, you can still drop the Scarabs from your safe houses, even though you can't drop them from your map. So I think this is perfectly reasonable to do. And you could even at this point add on Expedition on top of that. So there's plenty of places you can go from this tree. It's kind of just the foundation that is the important part here. You could even go do heist. Obviously, heist contracts do sell decently well early. They may be cheaper this league due to the ease at which you're going to be able to trade them now. They have made it much easier, so be careful with that. I wouldn't plan too much around any scarab that is above polished rating, as we do not know the rarity, at least early on, as a lot of people are going to be doing exactly this, right? Unwavering Vision. So there aren't going to be that many scarabs floating around initially, as people just aren't going to be able to drop them. So if you're one of the first few people to maps, don't plant around a lot of scarabs. Take things that don't need them. You can also do Harbinger. Harbinger is really easy. Just come and click these nodes. You're already next to them all. And you'll get some boost to your completions because you're going to find more Horizon Orbs. So that's it. That's it for the foundation of the trees. Well, there's so many videos on this, but that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do Expedition and then probably spec into more of the league mechanic stuff down here, as what I like to do every league is figure out the league mechanic. So that's what I'm going to do. Next, we have obviously the Atlas trees that are part of the max roll. We have things like Blight, Deli Mirror, Expedition, Harvest Fast Deli, Beyond. These are all things that you can do once you start getting maybe Rusted Scarabs, Polished Scarabs, and you've finished a decent amount of your completions, and you can unspec Unwavering Vision. So Blight is pretty self-explanatory. It's very good. I have included Heist with my Blight, as it's very quick. It's not going to take any time away from the maps. We've also got things like Amplified Artifacts to increase the number of Scarabs we're going to drop, as Blight does shoot out mobs at a ridiculous rate because of immune response. Now, if it is too difficult for you, you can unspec this, but do know that it is a large portion of the mobs you're going to get. So you're going to drop less scarabs, but you can do it if it makes it too difficult. Also, you could just spec Cassia's Pride and let the towers do it for you. So Blight, pretty straightforward. Deli Mirror. Now, Deli Mirror could be good, but it kind of needs the Gilded Scarabs. Obviously, Delirium is good regardless because you're going to be farming up tons of Deli Orbs. People are probably going to want Deli Orbs this league because Skitterings are going to be likely very expensive with the way that they probably work with these blocking nodes. I know there's a lot of speculation here, but I did test with another similarly worded thing, and Cartographer's Deli Orbs did not drop maps when I had shadow shaping. So I imagine that Skittering Deli Orbs respect this as well. So Skittering Deli Orbs with blocked modifiers are going to be very valuable, meaning that farming Deli Orbs is also going to be valuable. So also the number of Deli Orbs and cluster jewels you drop is directly related to the sum of all the reward tiles you have, meaning that the 2 Gilded Scarabs that add 2 reward types are actually very, very strong if you want to farm Delirium Orbs and cluster jewels. So a decent option, one that I might try myself for later on. Obviously, I'm going to be spoiled for choice this league, but one there. Next, we have Expedition. I've again chose to combine it with Heist as it's just a low investment mechanic. It doesn't take any time. It's very easy to sell now. So I think adding on Heist as kind of a gimme, you could optionally come into the league mechanic. I have left a lot of room with the points, but Expedition, pretty self-explanatory, right? If you've got a good build, by all means, come and grab Chiseled Perfection and Mountain Modifiers, as that is going to increase the quantity, rarity, and pack size. But I have left it unticked for now, as for this point of progression, it might be too difficult. Now, there are some really good scarabs for Expedition. There's, of course, the scarab that gives you 100% increased runic monster markers. Definitely use that ×2 if you can get it. Also, the one that guarantees Danig means you can free up all these points right here. There's a lot of options for Expedition, but using this tree and at least 2 of the polished will be the best bang for your buck early on. Harvest, I really like the look of Harvest, but again, it's going to be a difficult strat. And the reason I say that is Harvest scales pretty well with pack size and quantity. So you're going to want to scale the effect of modifiers on your map, as that is now the best way to scale all those things. So we're going to make our maps very difficult. We're also going to have player modifiers from the altars, which is in turn going to make the mobs even more difficult. And then you're going to want to complete the Harvest after you've done all those other things. So a difficult strat, but one that will probably be very good, as Harvest, I believe, got a pretty decent buff. Obviously, we did lose the ability to force one certain color, which makes going crop rotation a bit more difficult, but regular Harvest alone, just with the Gilded Scarab to duplicate life force, will be very, very strong. And then the final tree is one that gears towards scaling a bit more it scales more into the juice territory. Obviously, you want Deli and Beyond, but you can get all these things for free. You don't actually need to use any scarabs with this. You could just do Deli, Beyond, the altars, and the new league mechanic. And you've got a pretty large amount of stuff in your map. You're going to get a ton of rare monsters, and you're going to be getting a lot of scarabs as a result. And I do believe that the league mechanic is going to be very good because there are a lot of strategies that could benefit heavily from having a large amount of Oriflames. And we've seen that you can use at least 7 on your map. So these are going to be very sought after if they're abundant enough to be able to use in amounts of 7. If not, then it's probably going to suck. But I think farming them is going to be good because the actual pinnacle content farmers who are doing the most juice you could possibly get in your map are going to want to use 7 Oriflames on their map. So I definitely see the league mechanic being good, and this just is a nice add-on. You're going to farm some tainted currency, you're going to farm some delirium orbs, and you're going to farm a ton of scarabs. The next row is more into the scarab territory. Obviously these you didn't have to use scarabs with any ones I've shown so far, but the next ones you would want to. Essence has been promoted or demoted depending on how you look at it, to a mechanic that relies on scarabs now to do well. And bear in mind, it does do very well with scarabs. You can add 6 essences to your map and then increase the tier of all essences you drop. So essentially 3x your loot with the 1x essence scarab. And the benefit of this is you can also do it in yellow maps. So I've chosen here to combine it with Harbinger, as that does not get any negative penalties to being in lower tier maps, as well as Delirium as the same thing. So we can do yellow maps here. If you're someone that wants to do lower tier content early on, you can do yellow map, Essence, Delirium, and Harbinger. Alternatively, there is Essence with June, as June is another mechanic that doesn't care about you being in red maps. So you can do Essence with June and Delirium, and you're going to be doing it just fine as well. So these are pretty good lower map tier strategies. You could also throw in Beasts. I don't have a tree for that, but I'm sure Zen M from the Maxwell team will absolutely have one. And now let's move into what will probably be the best farming strategy early on, depending on Scarab availability, and that is Legion. Legion got so much good stuff from the scarabs. You can have 3 additional legions and cause each legion to have 10 additional rare monsters. I shouldn't have to explain to you how good that is. So you can have 5 legions per map, 50 additional rares, and those rares are obviously Legion Sergeants, which is better than a rare. So yeah, Legion's going to be insane. If you've got a good build at 4 Legion and these are affordable, then I can't see any world where you don't just farm Legion. It's going to be ridiculous. So expect to see, you know, a few yo guys. Is Grim here talking to you about Legion, as it is very powerful. Then for like non-mapping stuff, obviously we have tons of these. You can use the sheet if you want to find these trees. Obviously Maxwell has some as well. And then the non-mapping stuff, the best things I can think of would be Sanctum, Heist, Lab for those Transfig gems, Delving if you are that way inclined, Services, you can sell June crafts that you've farmed by doing some of these strategies, and also you could do boss carries, and then logbooks are probably going to be the best out of map mechanics early on. You know, obviously crafting goes without saying, but if you're crafting, you're probably not watching this video, so I won't plan around that. Now what am I going to do later on? This is a bit more speculative. I will end the video on what I plan to do maybe a bit later, and I plan on farming the league mechanic, as figuring out the league mechanic is, for me, the most fun part of every new PoE league. So I'm not going to speak too heavily on this, as it is quite speculative. Obviously, we don't know how good the league mechanic is going to be. I do envision it being very good, given what we've seen so far. And obviously what I mentioned earlier about all flames. But this tree goes about scaling the effect of modifiers on the map to in turn increase the quant, rarity, and pack size. Then you scale the pack size further with scarabs. You add more packs. All these packs are going to have the potential to have haunted modifiers. So it's just, in my opinion, one of the best ways to scale all of that. You can also add in influence mobs, which will also benefit from the pack size. And there are 2 scarabs which you could use. You can use monster pack size. You can use influence pack size, which is going to massively increase the amount of pack size on like red altars. And then obviously in turn, you're going to get a ton more currency from those as well. So I think this will be very strong. It'll be very fast mapping, pretty low maintenance. You don't have to use the influence scarab. That is a gilded scarab, but the magic monster pack size scarab is only rusted. So it should be very available. And then the rest is just maps. As maps might be a bit more difficult to sustain this league. Not going singular focus, as I don't want to conflict with our ability to drop T17 maps. But this could change if that's not the case, if you can still drop T17s. But yeah, I hope this video is helpful. I hope you're looking forward to the league. And obviously the tree, there will only be stuff added to this as I go. Any corrections that need to be made, I will make immediately. Let me know if I did something wrong. Yeah, peace. Love you.